welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be reading some scary stalker stories. Thank you for watching. In high school, I had a stalker. Here's the story. I'll try to keep it concise, but there's a lot of information. I was 16 and we met on Facebook. He went to a school nearby and we decided to meet up for a movie. We had a great time together and ended up dating. First time he came to my parents' house, he had an ankle monitor on for house arrest and wouldn't tell anyone why. This was red flag number 1. And since he was a minor, we couldn't find out. My parents obviously didn't allow us to hang out, so we hung out at his house or around town at the YMCA camp. I was rebellious and naive. Things started to get weird when I noticed his family was pretty odd. One day, we were having sex in his bedroom, and I saw his father looking through the blinds. I screamed and called him out, and his dad ran off. Stalker guy told me that his dad was just into redheads and liked to watch us, basically saying that this wasn't the first time. I went to leave and his mom was doing crack in the kitchen, so I decided it was time to break up. This is when it got bad. He started crying and told me that he's in cancer treatment and that's why he needs me. He didn't have long to live, blah blah blah. I believed him and told him we could be friends. This is when the stalking started. He switched schools to my high school, but never went to class. He would just stand outside of my classroom looking inside until it was passing period. When I would leave class, he wouldn't address me. He would just follow about 10 to 15 feet behind me to my next period and stand outside the classroom again. I was too intimidated to say something to him. He was 6'4" and a heavyset guy, so I just let it happen for weeks. It started to progress to where he would follow me home every day. He would get on the same bus as me, even though he's living across town, and walk 10 to 15 feet behind me all the way to my house. He would stand outside, just staring up at the window until around the time my parents got home, and then he would just leave. Finally, I told him to F off and leave me alone. I told him we would no longer be friends or acquaintances and to forget about me. However, that escalated things way further. I started getting about 150 calls a night. Half of them were him screaming death threats and in detailed torture methods that he wanted to do to me, and the other half were him singing me love songs that he wrote on his guitar. Every time I blocked his number, he seemed to just magically get a new one and leave more messages on that. I woke up one day to see that overnight he left me one of those dancing/singing snowmen on my porch. He had stabbed it in the head and the knife was sticking out. He covered it in his liquid deodorant that I had previously mentioned liking the smell of, and I noticed there was a hole where the little song recording device was. When I pressed the hand, it was not the regular Frosty the Snowman song that played. It was his voice singing eerily, "I'm going to have you forever, I'm never going to let you be." I was done at this point and told my parents, who contacted the school. They suspended him, but he still waited at my bus stop every day and walked to my home with me. One day he ran at me like he was going to tackle me. When I tensed up for the impact, he stopped and hugged me. It wasn't a regular hug, it was like he was trying to crush me. I was 5'1" and about 90 pounds at the time, and he ended up cracking one of my ribs. I cried and he started crying too before running off. He left a voicemail apologizing in a song. This one night is the night I'll never forget, and it's the reason we got a restraining order and my dad got a gun. I woke up one evening for no reason, just fully awake. I got up to go to my kitchen to get a glass of water to relax, and in the reflection on my fridge, I saw movement in my backyard. I couldn't see well because it was so dark outside and I had no lights on inside, so I went to the back sliding glass door to get a better look. When I got closer, I was met with the silhouette of a 6'4" man standing just outside my door. Stalker guy was in my backyard, under my room, at 3 was just staring at me. I yelled and my parents got up, but he was gone by the time my dad went outside. There's a patio right outside my bedroom window that goes all the way to the ground, so it's possible he could have been on top of the patio looking directly into my bedroom window before. We got a restraining order granted shortly after that, and Stalker Guy dropped out of school. I haven't seen him since in person, but every 6 months or so, he makes a new Facebook and tries to friend request me. I just block it and report it every time. Have you ever heard of that myth that if you wake up in the middle of the night for no reason, there's likely someone looking at you? Well, maybe it's true. I don't know what he's doing now or where he went, but I don't care to know. To preface this, I know there are a lot worse stalker stories out there, and mine might be pretty mild, but it still terrified me and haunts me today, nearly 10 years later. It was my first real full-time job after college. I went to school for art, but the job was basically an admin, along with a bunch of random responsibilities. At least once a week, I worked in the warehouse, counting and organizing inventory. A coworker of mine started hanging around and seemed like he wanted to be friends. He was very helpful with the job, having been there for a while and knowing the ins and outs of the company. His name was John. He was 46, lived in his mom's basement, and never been married. He had a cat he talked of often and claimed he used to be a Hell's Angel. He drove 18-wheelers and thought they were super cool. He started offering to smoke me out on lunch breaks, which I would accept because duh. Then he started buying me lunch, stating, "My friend did this for me when I was your age. I'm just paying it forward. One day you can help someone else when you have the money to spend on them." He knew all the local places to eat and would choose a place, suggesting what I should try. It was a mistake to ever accept anything from him, but I'm a foodie and he introduced me to things like Cuban espresso and burger buffets, adding excitement to my otherwise monotonous workday. Around that time, our friend's cat had several kittens. One of them was a beautiful Doherty named Penny that I knew John would love. So I fostered her for a bit until he decided he wanted her and he came over to pick her up. She got along with his other cat and was super sweet. He loved her and would send me pictures of her and them together all the time. We had him over, my boyfriend and I, a few nights over a period of about a year. He told the same stories over and over again, but we tolerated him because he thought he was lonely. I made him a dating profile because he often spoke about how he wants to meet the one, etc., but he rejected every single woman he matched with. He would pick their appearance apart on beautiful women who were in his age group, even some much younger. Now when I say John is an unattractive man, please trust me. He was gross, overweight, and sweaty, had thick, coarse black hair, and a huge gap in his incisors that he would suck spit through after he laughed, licking his teeth. He had giant pores and moles, and he was just old. We did have many enjoyable conversations, but I started to get the creepy vibes. For my birthday that year, he bought me a first edition of my favorite book, after I told him the story about how I lost my mass-produced copy. I had exchanged my favorite books with a friend who ended up losing my favorite book. He also bought me a necklace that was for cancer survivors, which was very sweet but also kind of really personal and awkward, but still seemed innocent enough. He would show up with a case of beer, knocking on the door unexpectedly. We tried to be hospitable, but it started getting annoying. However, I felt bad for him, and he was always so overly nice and helpful at work. I felt bad turning him away. One day after we had lunch while sitting in his truck in our work parking lot, he told me that he thought I was the one. I reminded him about my boyfriend, and he said, "No, he's not right for you. You were supposed to be with me." "No, John, you know I care about you as a friend, but I am not interested in anything with you like that. You are making me very uncomfortable. I love you. I can take care of you. Think of all I can do for you. I have so much money in savings. Please stop. This is getting weird. I don't like you like that at all. Please drop it." I got out of the truck and shut the door. The storm was brewing. After he confessed expressed his love for me, I told my husband, then boyfriend, everything. He had warned me, and he reminded me how he called it. How he always knew that this would happen, that John's creepy, that I shouldn't have accepted all the food and gifts, etc. He was totally right, and I felt sick. I started putting distance between John and I, while still being kind and sociable at work. I told my husband everything. John would call me over and over again, even though I always ignored his call. Until one night we got sick of it, and I answered the phone and told him to stop calling me. He was crying and begging me to talk to him. My boyfriend took the phone and told him to F off and hung up. That's when the threat started. He would leave voicemails about how he couldn't stand to look at Penny and how he was going to take her in the woods and kill her. Or he could just let her free. She would be eaten by wild animals since she was still so small. He said she reminded him of me and that he hated her as much as he hated me, that he wanted to bash her brains in. I started to call into work sick. I didn't want to see him. He ignored me deliberately, which I appreciated. He wouldn't look at me, but acted normal besides his sudden coldness towards me. Seeing him was awful. I ended up getting laid off. John and other coworkers tried to contact me on his behalf. People reaching out telling me I need to call him, that he's hurting by my sudden leaving. I would get calls from random phone numbers in my area, and it would be John. I would hang up as soon as I heard him say hello. I changed my phone number and we moved across country. It was maybe a year later, he somehow found my new number and called again, leaving this huge voicemail. He said he had found the one, but also he was dying. I can't remember how or why he was dying. It's all hazy now, but he needed this innovative technology or surgery that happened to be only available in my town, in my state, 1,000 miles away from where he lived, and we worked together a year before. And he wanted to meet up. It was all such a coincidence, and he was so excited to catch up and introduce me to his pregnant fiancée. He also needed my address. At this time, I was pregnant with my first and only child. John said his fiancée was pregnant too, that we would be parents at the same time. At that moment, I blocked every single person I'd ever known from that town on Facebook. Every single person that knew John that he could have gotten information from. I changed my phone number again. The nightmares started of him showing up in the middle of the night, having somehow found us. Of him carrying a case of beer, banging on the door, sucking spit through his teeth. I felt like he wanted to find me so he could get back at me somehow. Looking back, he was a total incel. I don't know if any of his story was true or what his plans were.